Hello everyone, welcome to my first video. I use Amibroker to analyze my stocks for investments. So basically how Amibroker works is it needs data files to generate the charts. Earlier what I used to do is go to NSE website, download the Bhavcopy data, then open the file, pick out only the columns that I require, copy paste everything into a text file, and finally arrange it into the format required by Amibroker. But here's the problem. The whole process is manual, tedious and time consuming. Even getting data for a single day takes significant effort. So instead of doing this over and over again, I decided to automate the entire process using Java code. In this video, I'll show you exactly how I wrote the Java program to generate the Amibroker data files automatically so that we don't have to waste time doing it all this manually. Okay, so let me create a date variable for the date for which I want to download the data, the file download path where I want to save the data, also the data URL where I want to fetch the data. Okay, let me generate an input stream that will use to pass the data from the URL. Like this, I have created an input stream. Once the input stream is created, let me create a buffered reader to read this data. Okay, so as we saw previously that this specific data is in CSV format, so we are going to use a CSV parser here. So let me just quickly create a CSV parser object. Okay, and I'm going to pass the reader into the CSV parser like this. Okay, so the CSV parser is having multiple CSV records. So to convert these CSV records into the specific objects, we need to create a POJO. So let me go to the Excel file first. I'll copy all the headers and I'll paste it into the POJO that I want to create. Let's name it as a stock record. And like this, I'll paste all the headers. So the first one becomes the symbol, then the series, then the date, previous close, open price, high price, low price, last price, close price, average price, total traded quantity, turnover in lakhs, number of trades, deliverable quantity and delivery to traded quantity percentage. Okay, let's create a for each loop on the CSV parser and convert each single record into its respective object. So if I do that, I'll create a for each loop and I'll create a stock record. And like this, I'll create a list of all these stock records. Okay, now that we have a list of all these stock records, we will write this data into a file. So let me create a separate function for that. Okay, in this function, I have created a file directory first. So I'll use files.create directories. Then I'll have a file path, paths.get, download file path, file name. Okay. Like we used buffered reader to read the data, we are also going to use buffered writer to write this data into the file. So let me create a buffered writer. So buffered writer equal to files.new buffered writer. Like this. I'll pass the file path and I'll just use the create standard option. Okay. Now for the list of stock records, I'll again iterate it through for each loop and create a specific string. Let's call that string a content and we'll use this buffered writer to write it to the specific file. So I'll create a for each loop. In the for each loop, you can see that I have created a string format and then let's write this into a content. So we don't require all the specific fields that we have in the POJO class. We will only require the symbol, the date, the open price, the high price, the low price, the close price, the total traded quantity, the deliverable quantity, and that's it. Okay, so like this we'll write this specific data into a file. Okay, let's run this. Okay, as you can see, the file is specifically created into the location that we have mentioned in the file download path. Okay, the code we have written is for a single date. What if I want to download in a range of dates? So I'll start with editing the first variable. So I'll rename the date to the start date. I'll also create one more variable which will be the end date. So I'll have the start date and end date. So previously I also used the hard-coded URL with the date. So I'll also use a replace function so that the specific date can be replaced. Okay, so we need to have a specific range between the dates. For example, 1st of December to 31st of December. Let me write a function to get all the dates for the specific range here. So I'm creating a function here, get dates between range. I'll pass the start date and end date into this one. Okay, then we are going to use a time formatter here. So date time formatter, we are going to format it into specific format. Then we're going to convert it to local date. So it will be converted to start date and end date. Then we are going to use a list of string and call it as date in range, which we will be returning as the return of this function. Okay, then we are going to use a while loop because we want from the first of the date to the last of the date. So dates in range, the list will be adding the current date into the list, and once the date is added into the list, we'll append it with 1. So we'll add plus 1 day into it. So like this, we'll be having a function which gives us all the dates into the date. Okay, so now that we have a function that gives us a date range, now what we will do, we will have a for each loop on the date range and we will download the whole process again for each day. So let me just do it date range dot for each, and for each day let me iterate the same function again. So I'll have a try catch like this, and then I'm going to use it to execute. Let's test this. I want to generate data from 1st of August 2024 to last of August 2024. So I'm putting the start date of 1st of August 2024 and date of 31st of August 2024. Remaining all the things are the same, and I'm running the project now. Okay, as you can see, all the data is downloaded. And that's it. We just automated the entire process of creating data files using Java. Instead of spending time downloading the data, formatting it, and manually creating text files, we now have a code that does it for us in just a few seconds. This is a huge time saver if you regularly use any data analysis tools. I'll be sharing more videos like this in the future. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also drop a comment if you like me to cover any specific topics. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.